Have you ever wondered how to get the perfect domed effect on your polymer clay earrings? Maybe you've tried and failed, or maybe you just struggle to be able to achieve the look that you're after. Well, you've come to the right place, because today I'm going to talk you through step by step how to get the perfect domed effect on your polymer clay earrings. Okay, so what is UV resin, you may be asking? UV resin is a pre-mixed, ready-to-use synthetic liquid that only hardens or cures by UV rays, which can be commonly found in sunlight or via a UV lamp. It's different to casting or epoxy resin, which is generally a two-part mix that sets over time. So one of the main benefits to working with UV resin is that you get a long working time with quick cure time. This means you can produce beautiful earrings in a short amount of time. Something else that we absolutely love about resin coating our earrings is that it gives it this super high gloss shine, which actually domes over the top of our clay, which is why we tend to refer to it as doming. So before we even start, we need to talk safety. So even though resin is a crafting material, it is super important to remember that it is actually a toxic chemical. So contact with your skin or breathing in the fumes can cause all sorts of reactions, illnesses, and can affect your health long term. This also means that it is not recommended for children to use, and it is not food safe. But that being said, don't let it scare you. We just need to take precautions to keep ourselves safe. So one of the main things that we want to do is to avoid contact with our skin. So you'll want to get yourself some nitrile heavy-duty disposable gloves. These are chemical resistant and they are quite tough, so they don't tear easily. Now, even though they are disposable, I have a little hack that I'll share with you shortly, which will help you to get multiple uses out of them. Next up, you'll also want to make sure that you're working in a really well ventilated area. Try and avoid a breezy area to avoid dust, but you want well ventilated so that the fumes are not stuck within a room. It is also highly recommended to get yourself a respirator face mask that has adequate protection against fumes. Now, just because your resin might not smell or might not smell strong doesn't mean that those chemical odours aren't there, because they are. So you want to make sure that your mask has an N95 or equivalent rating, or that it states that it has vapor and gas protection. So there's just a couple here that I'm showing that were on the Bunnings website. These are ones that would be suitable to use. Now, I know it sounds a little bit over the top, but eye protection would also be highly recommended, just in case your resin flicks up and gets you in the face. And lastly, I always try and wear long-sleeved clothing just to avoid any of those fumes coming in contact with my skin. Okay, so apart from all of that protection that you need, we're now going to talk about the tools to get the job done right. So firstly, I like to work on a silicone mat like this, and I also have the tray that I have it placed on. And then with these tools, I've got some ball tip tools which I hold my pieces down with, and I also have a silicone tipped tool here as well. Now, the advantage of silicone is that your resin will not actually stick permanently to the silicone, so it makes it really easy to peel off for during cleaning. I also occasionally use pop sticks and toothpicks as well. They're great because they are disposable, so if they become too damaged with the resin, I can chuck them away. I also have this barbecue lighter here, which is going to come in handy for popping bubbles. Now, depending on how you choose to cure your pieces, you might also require a UV lamp. So I've got this little portable one here, and I've also got a little torch as well. And of course, the most important tool that you will need will be your UV resin. So my two favourites at the moment are the Let's Resin UV resin, along with Colour Passion UV resin. So you will find that not all UV resins are the same. They do consist of different consistencies, so you may find some are runnier, some are thicker, some have more odour than others. They are all quite a bit different, but as you work with them over time, you'll hopefully find ones that you like to work with the most. I will leave the links for both these two in the description box of this video though, if you want to check them out. Okay, so it is time to prepare our pieces. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make your polymer clay pieces exactly the same as you normally do, except don't put any holes into them for your jump rings. So I always do my drilling afterwards anyway, so I highly recommend doing drilling and hole making after. So I do actually have one little additional step that you may or may not do already. So after you've sanded your pieces, you'll probably notice how dusty it gets. So look at all those little dusted shavings that I have accumulated there. We don't want those on our pieces whilst we do our resining. So what we actually want to do is give them a little bath. I do recommend avoiding this step. However, if your pieces have additions on them such as paint or mica powder or transfers, that may wash off in a little bathing process. So if your pieces are solid like mine are, then give them a bath. If they have additions on, just use a wipe or something to get the most amount of dust off as possible. And then you want to make sure that your pieces are fully dry. So give them a good little dry off, or leave them to sit for a good couple of hours just so that they're completely dry, because we don't want any moisture trapped underneath of our resin. And this goes for inclusions such as paint as well. Just ensure that your paint is dry before you go and apply the resin. So I mentioned before about placing my pieces on a silicone mat. Now this serves a couple of purposes. The first being it holds my pieces in place so they don't move around quite as freely when they're sitting on the silicone. It helps so that they're not just going all over the place as I'm applying the resin. If you didn't have a silicone mat, you can use something else such as double-sided sticky tape. You could use some transfer tape upside down, something that's got stickiness to hold it in place. You may even want to blue tack your pieces onto a tray. Just make sure that they are nice and flat and even though, so that your resin doesn't go rolling off. That also brings me to the next step of having it on a baking tray. So I'm not going to bake the resin, but the baking tray makes it really easy for moving them around. So I generally like to cure my items in the sun. So this way, if you've got your silicone mat on the baking tray, it makes it so much easier to just pick up the whole thing and move it without worrying about your pieces sliding around and resin dripping off. Finally, we are now at the stage where we are ready to apply the resin to our pieces. So what we want to do is hold and secure our piece in place with a ball tip tool as we apply the resin on. Now we don't want to apply it too much, just a small squeeze of the resin going in the outline of our shape. We want to make sure that it is a couple of millimeters in from the edge, so not right to the edge because we don't want it to go rolling off. We're then going to use a little bit more resin to fill in that internal gap that we then left. As we apply the internal part here, we're able to give a little bit more of a squeeze just to add to the amount of resin that we have on top to create that doming effect. We also want to attempt to apply the resin in one fluid motion because this will help to reduce the risk of adding bubbles to our piece. Whilst our resin is self-leveling, which means that it will actually close up most of the gaps itself, we are going to go along with our silicone tip tool and we're going to push the resin now right to the edges of our piece. So there is actually a very fine line between not enough and too much resin. And unfortunately, time and practice is needed to be able to work this out. But one of the most common issues that crafters have with their resin doming is that the resin pulls away from the edges, and this generally means that you need to add more resin. If you're finding that you don't have enough resin on your piece, you can add some more to the center of your piece. This will allow it to slowly push out to the edges without causing an overflow. Another issue which I had at the beginning when I first started doing resining was that I was doing it in an area close to a window, and this meant that the UV light was coming in through my window, so as I was applying the resin it was curing. So it was turning globby and thick as it was coming out of the bottle. So I need to now do my resining in an area that has artificial light and not natural light coming in. So this brings us to our next issue that a lot of people face when using resin, and that is bubbles. So we need to pop the bubbles. Look at that pesky little bubble there. I'm not sure if you can see it. The way we can get rid of bubbles is by either poking them with a little toothpick until they come to the top, or we use a lighter. So the flame from the lighter will warm up the resin and encourage those bubbles to come to the top. By having a smooth, flat surface on our clay, applying the resin in a fluid motion, and then using a toothpick or flame to bring the bubbles to the top will all help with bubble issues. Textured pieces can be a little tricky as bubbles like to hold on to the texture. So if you are new to resin doming, I'd suggest starting with some smoother pieces first. So now comes the important part to cure or to set the resin, and we want to set it so that it is hard and glossy and no longer sticky. So there are a few options. You can use a UV torch like I just used in that first clip, or this here is a little UV lamp. If you're using either the lamp or the torch, just check the wattage and the wattage required on your resin, because if it's not powerful enough, it won't cure your resin properly. If you notice after a couple of minutes that your resin is still sticky, you may need to keep it under a little bit longer until it is all fully cured. My favourite technique, however, is just taking it out into the sunshine. I live in sunny Perth, Western Australia, and our UV rays is high. So as soon as I go out into the sun, it pretty much instantly cures the resin, although I will leave it out for a short amount of time just to make sure that it is cured properly. So now our pieces are done, it is time for cleanup. So these isopropyl alcohol wipes are my favourite to use. And I also have a couple of bottles of isopropyl alcohol in the spray bottles. The alcohol component breaks down our resin, so it makes it really good and easy to clean up any spills or stickiness that may be left behind. The more you practice your resin, the neater you should get though, and you shouldn't have too much mess to clean up. But I do like to use the wipes to just wipe down the bottle from any drips that may have occurred, because the last thing that I want to do is touch the bottle with my bare hands and get sticky resin on my fingers. Now earlier I talked about the silicone components of our tools, and there was a little drip left behind here, so I wanted to show you how easy it was to just pull the resin off of our silicone. It's such a small piece though, it actually didn't want to come off very easy, but yeah, if you get any spills on the silicone, it will just pull off, which just makes cleaning up so much easier. Now with my tools, and usually my gloves too, I like to go and pop them out into the sun as well. And that means any wet resin that is on them will cure. So you can see it's got a big glob of cured resin here. And the cured resin on the gloves also means that I can reuse these gloves again so that I don't have to throw them away after each use. So I'll just show you how easy the silicone and resin is to clean off. So it pretty much just slides off. There we go. So there we go. Our silicone tipped tool here is all nice and clean and pretty much as good as new. And that means that we won't be transferring any dirt or dust into our resin pieces next time. With the bowl tip tool, I will usually give it a wipe with the alcohol wipe whilst the resin is still wet on it, and then I will go and pop it out into the sun to cure the resin as well. Unfortunately, this one ended up with a little dollop of resin on the tip, so it looks like it is now part of my tool. So our pieces are now nearly finished. We have one step left to do, which is to drill the holes. But first, I am just going to have a look at these and see how beautiful and shiny they are. Now, if you find that you have had any sort of spillage and you have some resin that has slipped down the side, you can remove that by either using your craft knife or a sharp pair of nail scissors or even wire cutters. They will work as well to snip it down a bit shorter, and then you might be able to sand it smooth. So something that I didn't mention earlier as well is that I only resin the tops of my pieces. I don't do the sides or the bottom because I really don't think that it is necessary. It takes a really long time to do it because it is so tricky and fiddly, and I really don't think that it adds that much extra to the pieces. So I just do the tops. Now that the resin is fully cured, if you do happen to find that there is any gaps in the resin, that you may have missed an area, you can do another full coat over the top again to fill in any gaps and give a nice fuller domed effect on top. Now, earlier on, I also mentioned about the drilling, that I leave the drilling part until last. I don't like to drill holes at the beginning because it means that our resin can slip down and fill up those holes. And if that happens, it means that we just have to re-drill them again. So I just save myself some time and do the drilling component at the end. Now, when I drill my pieces, it is a little bit hard for me to show you, but I go down a couple of millimeters from the top of the piece, which means that there is enough space to hold the shape of our pieces without worrying about the hole causing a crack and chipping off. And if you find that it's hard to get your drill positioned because of that domed effect on your piece, you can flip your pieces upside down so that you're drilling from the bottom to the top. And now our components are fully complete, and so there is one step left, and that is to assemble them into earrings. Okay, so that brings me almost to the end. I just have that one reminder that practice makes perfect. Please remember that resin doming is a technique, so it's not necessarily something that will happen perfectly every time straight away. It does take a bit of practice to get the hang of it. It is, however, very worth the practice and the patience that it takes because it really elevates your pieces and makes them nice and shiny and really beautiful. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have enjoyed this little tutorial, and I hope it's given you lots of tips and tricks on how to create the perfect domed effect. Thanks for joining me, and I'll be back again next week with another crafty tutorial. So I'll see you then.